of your countries spend, the rest of the other countries spend 2%. We, guess how much we spend. We spend 0.6% of GDP on national defense. So when Cagayan de Oro City is flooding, Cagayan de Oro City is beset by disasters, when your neighbors in Lanao have a problem, we have little funds to spend for that. So don't wonder why we cannot respond. Same goes for your police. Will we get it from environmental protection? Will we get it from infrastructure? Woefully low too. We can make a lot of savings by having transparency and having anti-corruption measures, but it's still not enough. Even if you assume the BIR collects 100% of its tax quota, we are still lacking in funds. Look, let me give you an example. Assume that all the ports of entry there is 100% freedom from smuggling. Will smuggling stop? For those who say yes, we have 36,000 kilometers of coastline, and the Philippine Navy and Coast Guard combined of only 205 to 210 ships. Anytime you can bring in anything to the Philippine coastline because you get stopped. That's the challenge that we face. Now for education, let's talk about education. What needs to be done in the country? There are three major things that need to be done. My plan. Number one is to introduce literacy training for preschool children who cannot afford to go into preschool. Namely, our daycare workers have to be enmeshed into a national literacy program so that the first 4 years of the child is taught something. Secondly, we have to introduce basic education reform. Meaning to say, we have to align our curriculum for high school graduates and elementary students with international standards. And we are 2 years behind in terms of quantity of academic attainment when we graduate from high school. That's the challenge. But we must do it or else we're cheating there. Thirdly, we have to target 1 college graduate per family at least. We have to target that. How? A combination of rationalization of scholarships and an honest to goodness student loan and stipend program. We also have to increase the number of bona fide master's degree and PhD holders in the country. I say bona fide. Why? We need to invest in our human capital in terms of research and development. And we have to follow up research and development into actual production to reinvigorate our industrial base. A lot of Filipino research and development goes to somebody else abroad. And we need to develop that niche which we have. So, that's what you have in education. Finally, for peace and order, which is very important to me. What is the solution to the Mindanao peace problem? Does anybody know?
I don't know.
Do you want to know my solution?
Yes!
My solution is I do not know. I'm not kidding. Why? Mindanao is not Mindanao. It is made up of several places, several types of people, several sources of problems. So, where must the solution to Mindanao's problems come from? From me, who comes from Luzon, does not need to live here? Or from you? From you, definitely. So, what is necessary in order to get those solutions? That must be an atmosphere of peace, physical peace. And that's where the national government must come in, to guarantee your democratic space so that hopefully you come up with the solutions to the problem. It's a human interaction problem rather than anything else. And no amount of scholarship, no amount of foreign literature, no amount of paradigms from Ireland, for example, the Irish peace process will work in the Philippines because there is no place in the world like the Philippines. We are unique. You cannot apply any paradigm of peace and order from other countries to the Philippines. We must have development, and outside of that, we must have education. Because hopefully with education, you get less emotional, you get more objective, and you will speak a language more of science and technology, which hopefully will eradicate conflict. That probably is a way to peace and Mindanao. It's not a solution, but only a way to peace and Mindanao. Now finally, the issue of corruption is very close to your hearts. How do you solve corruption?
How?
Well, yeah, that's one way. It's one way. But do you believe in an ounce of prevention is worth more than the pound of cure?
Yes.
So might as well prevent corruption, right? How do you prevent corruption? Do you agree that our society is getting more progressive? Do you have cell phones? There is some progress, although less than the others. Let's agree. We can't say there's no progress. There's some progress. You have cell phones, you have everything. Do you agree that as you progress, you get more materialistic?
Yes.
Do you agree there are needs that were not needed before, like a cell phone, that are needed now?
Yes.
Do you agree, therefore, that getting more materialistic, you're faced with more temptations?
Yeah.
And you agree you have to address those temptations, right?
Yeah.
And punish, on the other hand, too. But you can't keep on punishing without addressing temptations, right? Let me give you an example for those who do not agree. 40 of you, I'll give you an example. For example, I'm a teacher. I place you in a classroom. There's no proctor and no teacher. How many of you will cheat out of the 40? Your guess is as good as mine, but there's some people that are gonna cheat, right? It's the same way in public schools. You have to reduce the amount of temptation by punishment. Punishment is costly. It is divisive and costly. It must be done. But you must choose with proper evidence against the scattered evidence. Because they end up not convictions and people will not trust us. So that's the solution to corruption. Address problems, address realities, and motivate people to do the right thing. Buying incentives, financial or otherwise. That's the reality of life. So we talked about a number of things. I think I've talked about extensively on a number of things, except perhaps what I was like when I was a teenager, your age, which I will not talk about anymore. And once again, as I go off to Malay, I wish to thank each and every one of you for the warm welcome, which was I did not expect whatsoever. I promise you, if I win as president, I will come back here, Xavier, and you can ask me any question under the sun. I will try to answer it the best. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you again.